You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or
Still to be happy about.
you're up 2-0?
Job's not finished. Job finished? No, I don't think so.
Okay. You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I have to give all praise and infinite glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Yahweh being the true and holy cause of God, Ba'ashem in the name of Yahushua, being the true and Lord and Savior, and the call of Jesus, and the Rakakodash, meaning the Holy Spirit. Double honors that Apostle and Elders, a great millstone that rule well, and are worthy double honors. And peace and blessings to all folk out there. Wish the word of the Lord in true faith, sincerity, and upon their bodies as a living sacrifice. Shalom, all as well. This is your brother Mashad. Today's edification exhortation. I'll be basically going over how the job is not finished, man. The job is not finished, And I got inspiration from this lesson. From a Kobe, a former, iconic, Kobe interview where he was up, 2-0 in the playoffs, which a lot of people, be super happy, jump out their seats because they were 2-0, but you can easily lose, despite being, up, man, 2-0, you can always lose, man, so this is why it's important to not get complacent and not get stagnant and just focus on the end goal and just know that the job's not done yet. The job is finished when the job is finished, man. When you reach, that last game and you win it, when the buzzer goes 0-0, your team's up, that's when the job is finished. That's when you can celebrate, man. That's when you can celebrate. That's when you can, take a rest, and all that, man. And spiritually, man, that's the same mindset, you should have, man. And the truth, because at the end of the day, a lot of people may get happy, or whatever, when they're doing a lot of big things, may do like, 1,000 lessons in a day, someone might be in this thing for like 20 years, 30 years, and you think you're on top of the world, but at the end of the day, the job's not finished, The job is nowhere near finished, man, so you can't get complacent, man, It don't matter, if you, do all these things, man. The scriptures say, man, our righteousness is as filthy rags, man. And this is only practice, man. Anybody can be good at practice, during practice, and stuff like that. But we really see who's really good during the game, during the test, during that fourth quarter, that's who we really see. Yeah, you can win, in the first half, you could be winning, you could be up, but that fourth quarter can change, man. The momentum can easily shift, man. So, brothers, you gotta stay humble, stay grounded and keep pushing every day, man. Because, we're preparing. This is preparation for the big test, man. The big test, that final game, which is, the hour of temptation, Jacob's trouble. And that's where it will be known who the Lord's chosen are, man. Those who will, overcome, all the adversity, that will be coming to this earth, man. So the job is not finished, man. You shouldn't get complacent, going on, a bunch of, vacations, having so much fun. We got to remember that, we should put in work. Obviously there's nothing wrong, with having fun, Obviously we got to be balanced. But the main thing, man, we should be striving for is this truth, man. Yeah, you can make the money. Yeah, you can have fun, but is that fun interrupting your growth in this truth? You got to ask yourself that, man. Because the job is not finished yet. We can celebrate, we can have fun, we can do all the things, we could possibly think of when we get, in the chariots, man. After we get in the chariots, man, you know, and the kingdom comes, man, that's when we can celebrate, man. You know what I'm saying? But right now, we should be focused, man, locked in. We shouldn't be, you know, committing folly, basically being in the spirit immersed, man. You know what I'm saying? You should be locked in, man, because we're preparing, man. We're preparing that spiritual ark. Even in the time, of Noah, the days of Noah, everybody was having fun. The scripture said, man, they were eating and drinking until the flood came, man, and took them all away. You know what I'm saying? So you got people in the world, you know what I'm saying, and even people that are in the so-called, in the truth, who are half-assers, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, these other camps. You know what I'm saying? Your Sakaris, your IUICs, man, who's, having, lamb dinner, Passovers, barbecuing on the Sabbath, having 7 wives, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Basically using the truth as, merchandise, man. You know what I'm saying? Profiting off the truth, having clothing brands, stuff like that while, using, the scriptures as merchandise, man. Using Yahweh Shemel Shai, profiting off Yahweh Shemel Shai, which is, going off, man, So we should be, ultimately locked in, and just trying to be the best man of the Lord we can be every day, and ultimately, discipline ourselves, man, because we're really preparing for the test, man. We're preparing for that game 7, that crucial game, you know what I'm saying? That'll ultimately affect our legacy forever. You know what I'm saying? So you got to strive for that, man. The job is not finished yet. It don't matter, if you're doing good right now. You know what I'm saying? You consistent with the Lord, you being a man of the Lord and all that. You never know. The Lord can easily take the spirit away from you, man, and give your talent, you know what I'm saying, to another person, man. Give the spirit to another person. So this is why you got to, stays on your P's and Q's, man, and keep striving, man. Don't get complacent, man. When you get complacent, you be like, oh, all right, and then, when you get lazy, that's when, you lose, what I'm saying, your powers, man. You know what I'm saying? So we got to, continue to, practice, train, however you want to call it, spiritually, physically, mentally, so we're going to be able to, most importantly, give diligence to make our calling and election sure, that we, hopefully be, one of, those 144,000, that will be saved, man, that will be, preserved, man. You know what I'm saying? When the destruction comes to this place. And even in terms of prophecy, too, we see a lot of, news going on, with Iran, you know what I'm saying? Trump, beefing with Iran, etc. Things going on in the Middle East, missiles. You hear that term a lot. World War III memes, rumors, stuff like that. Yeah, all this happening, all Kala Bashar Shah, that, we're hearing this news. You know what I'm saying? By the end of the day, the job is not finished yet, man. World War III is not happening yet. It's brewing, you know what I'm saying? It's, it's starting, but it's not going to happen yet, man. You know what I'm saying? Until, Marcus the Beast, comes out, man. Marcus the Beast, in the potato chip, That will ultimately, be the nail in the coffin, and that's when all hell's going to break loose, and then obviously, but right now, this is just a demo, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't get your hopes up. You might think, oh, Jacob's trouble is going to happen, tomorrow. No, bro. You know what I'm saying? This is just a demo. When a game comes out, they let you play the demo, let you get a feel for it. And then when the game comes out, that's when, boom. You know what I'm saying? So don't get your hope so high, man. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we hope for the best, but we got to prepare for the worst. You know what I'm saying? So, stay focused, brothers, man. Don't get complacent and don't get your hopes up, man, too high. Because like I mentioned earlier, in terms of, basketball, Kobe was up 2-0 in the finals, but you can easily lose, man. The goddamn Warriors, and, Golden State Warriors against Cleveland, You know what I'm saying? They blew a 3-1 lead, man. All they had to do was win one game. You know what I'm saying? But the Cavs still came back and made history. So that's, goes to show you, man, that anything can happen, man. You can lose, you know what I'm saying, this thing, man. You can always lose in this thing. So that's why you got to stay humble, stay hungry, and keep pushing, and be composed, you know. And be composed. Because even in that finals is pretty spiritual. Because, despite them being up 3-1, all they had to do was one game. But, certain players let their emotions, get the best of them, which ultimately, altered, the whole momentum, of the series, man. You know what I'm saying? So, we got to stay composed too, man. We got to make sure we're harmless as a dove, wise as a serpent, and harmless as a dove in these times, man, that we're staying composed. Because, yeah, we want to crash out, we want to do all these things, but we got to remember we're at the end, so it's not worth it, man. Let these people win. You know what I'm saying? Wipe the dust off that feet, man, be the bigger person, man. You don't got to waste your energy on these people, man. Going to jail for life for a 2-3, man. Don't do that, man. You know what I'm saying? Stay focused, man. You know what I'm saying? Or you getting a bad record because you gonna crash out because you want to retaliate, man. The scriptures say, man, I wish I said, man, if this was my kingdom, I would fight, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's not our kingdom, man. We just need to lock in, you know what I'm saying? Take the punches, you know what I'm saying? And just keep going, man. You know what I'm saying? Just keep going, man. We don't gotta dwell on or mendel on things that are temporary, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about the foolish things, the light afflictions of this life, man. You know what I'm saying? Little things that you go through, move on, man. It may be a rejection, it may be you losing, a relationship with people in the world, you losing, a certain status in the world, you losing whatever, man. That's what comes with the job, man. You know what I'm saying? We already knew what we signed up for, man, but soon we're gonna really see the test. This is just practice, man. But we should be able to overcome the little practice that we, have right now, man. You know what I'm saying? So continue to pray to the Lord for strength, guidance, for clarity, whatever it may be. Pray, man. You know what I'm saying? Pray that the Lord keeps the spirit on you, man. And that you keep going, man, because, we're really at the end, man. Anything can happen, bro. Game 7 soon to come, bro. Anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen, man. So, don't be out here trying to be too invested in this world. And also, don't be, too, hasty, to basically have, the day of judgment, be, super soon. When I say super soon, I mean like, you hear these things on the news, you know what I'm saying? You hear prophecy and then all of a sudden you think, the Lord's coming back tomorrow. No, you know what I'm saying? No man know the time, man. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you gotta, stay ready, man. When the opportunity comes, you know what I'm saying, that we will already be ready, man. So don't, it shouldn't be, now that you hear, you know what I'm saying, this Iran thing, whatever, World War III, and all of a sudden you want to lock in, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. I mean, for some people that could be like a warning or a reminder, to seek the Lord now, but, don't be, hesitant to seek the Lord, man. I remember in the scriptures, roughly paraphrasing, it was like, make no tarry to turn unto the Lord, man. You know what I'm saying? Turn now, man. The signs are showing, but, don't wait for the last minute, man. You know what I'm saying? To completely turn into the Lord, man. You know what I'm saying? So lock in now, man. So when the time comes, we'll be prepared, We already know stuff like this is going to happen, man. But it's not the end yet, man. We're close to the end, but it's not the end yet, man. You know what I'm saying? The job is not finished yet, man. Keep putting in work, stay humble, put your head down and keep working, man. You know what I'm saying? We haven't made it yet, man. Fuck are we partying for? Fuck are we, having all this fun for? You know what I'm saying? If we haven't even made it yet. You know what I'm saying? We can celebrate after. You know what I'm saying? We can celebrate when we win. You know what I'm saying? Why are you trying to celebrate now? You know what I'm saying? When you do our things, man, we should, like as scriptures, said, man, our, our works, are as filthy rags, man. It don't matter, how good our move we do, man, spiritually, like we playing in sports. You might make a crazy shot. You know what I'm saying? You might hit this crazy move, but you don't need to celebrate, do all this celebrating for it, shoot it and make it like you done it before, like it's nothing, you know what I'm saying? It should be, like drinking water, like breathing air. You just naturally do it. You shouldn't be celebrating and all that, man. You know what I'm saying? So you should know that this is a natural thing for us to do, and it's something that we're supposed to do, man. It doesn't make us, any better. You know what I'm saying? We ain't shit, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what we gotta remember. We ain't shit, man, until we get that crown on our head, man. You know what I'm saying? Until we get that crown on our head, man. It don't matter if we're up, 3-1 in the series. We're up 3-0. Anything can happen, man. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen, man. The momentum, can always shift somewhere else, man. So, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, man. Doing certain disciplinary acts, man. Like, for instance, I've been, incorporating, doing things like taking cold showers, you know what I'm saying? Start fasting more, start doing things that will ultimately, prepare you for that game 7. You know what I'm saying? All that conditioning you was doing in the off season, that's going to help you when you get to that game 7. When the game's close, when you might go to double overtime, triple overtime. But all the training you did, all that conditioning you did allows you to have, that extra, breath, man. You know what I'm saying? That extra wind, you know what I'm saying? And let you have that endurance to keep going, man. You know what I'm saying? When it matters the most. Even if it could be triple overtime, double overtime, quadruple overtime, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it's going to feel like, man, in the times to come. It's going to feel like, we're in overtime, man. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's not, man. It's like you in the ring. Boxing rounds are like 2 minutes, man. You know what I'm saying? But it feel like you in there for mad long. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it's going to feel, man, in the time of Jacob trouble. It's not going to be too long, as the scriptures, tell us, that, the day should be shortened, that no flesh may be saved. So the days are going to be shortened, and we see that happening, in the way the days are going by fast as hell, man. Just the other day, I swear I was, in COVID, man, you know what I'm saying? Times of COVID, first coming into the truth, and then now look at now, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, speaking of that, too, remember the time of Jacob trouble? I mean, not Jacob trouble. I mean, the time of COVID, quarantine, when COVID first happened, everybody was turning, you know what I'm saying, trying to become spiritual, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, because they sensed that the end was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord gave the world a little demo of what's to come. You know what I'm saying? The streets were shut. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of things, happened, man. You know what I'm saying? And people was scared. People was willing to turn to the Lord, or whatever they believed, a higher power. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew the end was near. But then the Lord flipped the script and allowed, things to get back to normal, so to speak. Even though it's not as it was before, it's still considered normal, man. But then the Lord's gonna flip the switch again. You know what I'm saying? That's how the Lord operates, man. The Lord is very unpredictable, man. So you got to be ready for that. You got to be ready for any punch that comes your way. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you got to work on your spiritual reflexes, man. As soon as, a certain prophecy comes, you should be ready, man, for that, man. Because we've been training for that. We've been meditating. We've been doing all of these things for that, man. So with that, man, Lord will have to give all praise and glory. How about Shemel Shai, Bashem Kakradash, man? The job is not finished yet. Keep going. You know what I'm saying? Keep pushing, keep striving, man. Because the end is here, man. The end is soon to come, man. Soon to come, So stay focused, stay locked in, stay hungry, You know what I'm saying? Stay humble. You know what I'm saying? To keep the faith, man. Shalom, ball, death to man. Job is not finished.